episode 11. 11? Sure. Who's counting? To Drawing Blood, our weekly look into the top-down adventure video game. Zelda-inspired, animation-inspired, cartoon-inspired, the works. That me, Bob Fox to my right, and Cody Greenhild, Andrew Tavis, and Greg Lane are trying to create. Slowly but surely. Mostly slowly. Not exactly surely. So last week, we were still working on this intro that I've been plugging away at. We've been busy all week. It's been a tough month. We got a lot of work. So fitting in blood has been tiring. Plus, all our kids are sick, and the winter's not ending. So we're looking forward to spring, where things lighten up. Let's see. I'm just gonna watch us down first. That's sort of what we always have to do here. Get our bearings. So here we go. Alright. Remember all this. I think we ended it. Yep. And all that. Oh yeah, we were doing this scene inside here where we ended with Kristoff, I think. So we're going to clean up these red line drawings first with Becky. Yeah, we had to extend that. Okay. No viewers now, so
we got a lot of...
I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to Bob. I'll talk to Bob. So I'm going to clean up some of these red drawings of Becky now. Sort of work out her little action sequence here. I'm going to go inside the symbol like we were last week. Just gonna onion skin the background so that doesn't get too distracting. I'm gonna end with this pose right here. So let's start with the vampire. So she kind of turns and twists on this background. We might actually animate the background. I'm trying to think about the practicality of all that. So I'm going to rough this guy out a little more since the red line is so rough. So we're just going to get a back 3/4 view of what this guy could look like. Let's see. Make sure none of this is cut off when we finally clean it up. And we'll make it a fist. Let me go outside, make sure that's it. Oh, you see? That's why I had to double check. So I'm going to double click in it now so I make sure he doesn't get cut off. I usually do the boards around 200 with a thick brush to clean up the boards. Just, I don't want to focus on getting too thin of line weight here, especially for boards. This is only sort of between us and you guys who want to join us in all this stuff, so we don't even have to really make it look too pretty, though it always helps. Alright, so we're going to go clean this guy up. I always kind of give these vampires a pointy head. It's more of a almost like out of worldly kind of looking vampire we're going with, where they're definitely more creature than human at a certain point. Though when someone turns in the game, we'll probably err closer to their likeness, which we didn't really get to do much yet of. I would like to start doing some of those kind of... I love morphing animations where we could start with one of the characters and turn them into vampire. So we're gonna... So she turns... So we're gonna start panning him in around here. I always ease in... I mean out when you're kind of zooming in, just to... Ooh, that's way too slow. So he gets punched. Alright.
So when you say ease, what, negative or
That's positive 100. Like when I'm coming to a stop, I always want it to kind of. Otherwise, it's a little too jarring. I know they're opposite. They're opposite in After Effects, right? Or is it called ease or is it just negative 100 something else?
Well, it's just called you ease in. Like you would ease in would be 100.
Would be 100 in After Effects too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
I think that's how it is.
I think that's the way it is in Flash too. Let's see here. I got a little bit of a cold, so I'm more nasally than usual too. My voice already leaves a lot to be desired. Alright, so let's get her kind of staring this guy down. What weapon did she have in? So that's alright. Alright, so she kind of comes to a dramatic pose here, and a pause. Oh, I haven't drawn her in a while, it feels like.
No, it's been a while.
It's hard switching styles, I mean, especially in the middle of the day, too. It's been a long month.
It's been a long year.
Yeah, 2019 already feels like it. I would be okay with it going.
Still gotta make her.
Yeah, that'd be funny. You should do that right now and we could show it on it. So I'm going to do her a little thinner since she's way in the background. Though when we clean it up, everything will be the same line weight as if it were on one piece of paper, I think. That's close enough. I always play with Becky's head a lot too. Like it gets a lot bigger and a lot smaller depending on what we're trying to accomplish. We're not big sticklers on character design. Or we like character design, just not character dimensions really. Whatever kind of works, I feel like. Sharpened hockey stick. Alright, let's clean that up. Alright, so we can clean her up now. And we'll do the smoke on. I'll probably just. No, the smoke's on different layers. And I'll do the smoke just in white or gray or something like that. And we won't even use holding lines. Though, we're kind of back and forth on that, actually, when I think about the effects. Sometimes we have lines around the smoke and sometimes we don't. I don't know which one looks better for the style. Oh. Yeah, I don't know, yeah. Right now, we're gonna do the smoke in light gray, though. If I can select it. There we go. Actually, I might change this to red for now, so I can see it. The effects we always do straight ahead too, because it's just a lot easier. I'm not even liking that shape. Almost like that, almost like it's kind of a sphere. That's better. We'll just do that dissipating right now. Get that over with. Now it shoots in this trajectory, so we want it to shoot that way too, like to really give it some force. So it's gonna pull in the middle towards the or the middle of the smoke but towards the outside of the screen. And I always do smoke as it dissipates, so you don't have to really focus on it all too long. Get some over here. That keeps going. Probably quicker. Then it could start curling up this way like that. This can curl down. And I always do these super loose, and then we'll worry about cleaning them up. And what I'll do is kind of clean up every other frame when I get to the cleanup part, and then worry about in betweening those two. But it's not exactly going from extreme to extreme. Ooh, getting emails already. Never ends. So that, like, this one's coming up here. That's going in there. We're going to continue that. Let me get rid of that one because it doesn't look right. It's going to keep pulling up that way. It's going to keep pulling up that way. Keep it out 4s for now. Kind of did like a little swirl, but I like that. Get rid of that. Oh no, that's the frame we want. Get rid of that frame. By the time that happens, so you can kind of see the force of it. Even just it's all debris is sort of kind of leading the eye there. And what we could do with just the animatic is we'll just slightly shrink her a little bit, like she's still turning but slowing down a lot. Just shrink her 90% and sort of keep her on onion skin, and then I'll just match the chart with what I have in the smoke. Then remove the tween so it just looks a little more natural. Yes. And then we can actually do the same thing. So he's coming towards the camera. He's going to move more that way. 1, 4, 5. Shrink that down. 95. Something like that. So we keep all the camera moves on the same chart too, just so it looks like even though the background will be moving on 1s at this point, we're going to shoot that on 2s, so it just feels like it's a hand-drawn background too, or a hand-drawn animation for the background. Okay, we're going to make the smoke like gray now. And we can get to the fun stuff. So she's going to dart here. Oh, I'm going to start with this extreme actually first, so then we can in between that correctly. So she kind of whizzes by and punches him in the face. Turn off the background for that one. This is where the cartoonish violence comes in. We don't want it to feel too visceral at any points. I feel like, even though the game's called something pretty visceral, I guess.
Spelled wrong.
See? arm will be up here, so it's really cartoonish kind of looking. This other arm here, kind of all contour lines will be leading the force to Becky and the force away from Becky in this one. Her cape will be we'll kind of be going that way, I guess, since she's kind of coming from that side. Continue the draw, just draw through them, things like this. She's coming from that way, so this leg would be behind here technically. But she is winding up with her other fist too, so we'll keep that in the corner in case any. And what I'll do when I use her hands like this is I'll make her hands a lot bigger, depending on the impact. And those of you who played the game can see with the fourth attack, her hands get giant. Or fourth combo attack. And then his body goes that way. Now it kind of framed it out here, so I'm gonna have to change that timing too. Alright, so let's clean this one up at 200. Continue the line here. It's going to come out, and we can do that on a debris layer actually, so it can almost feel like slow motion if we kind of pause on this pose. Got the ear. Going to continue with the arm, kind of again all action lines pointing to Becky. I don't like that sound. Any wagers on who it could be, Bob? The email? Is it spam? Is it trouble? It's most certainly trouble. It's been ruined. Trouble's been brewing bad. I think it's actually just. Hold on one second. Oh. Spam. You know it's bad when spam is the best thing we get in our emails lately. Been getting hounded by our clients. Hounded. Been a very trying, as Bob indicated, year. Do that on that side of the forehead, actually, or in the back of the head. Let's erase this. Get those. Okay, so now we can color this one in, and then we can slowly start in between. No, or in between, whatever you call that for storyboards. Oh, I missed one for her too. We'll get to that one next too. Alright, so let me get this one first. So she's kind of rotating, like, rotating slightly, doing almost a 180 as far as the camera is concerned. So we're going to have to change her pose for that one for sure. Who's here? Wait, what did I miss? Are you the one viewer, Andrew? We could do this on Discord.
We could do this all over.
We could start from now, and you didn't miss anything really. Just sort of cleaning up the boards, explaining maybe, and explaining how our week's been and all that stuff. How's your week going? I know March is one of your busier months.
Has your daughter been sick for all of 2019?
Our kids have been sick. I'm hoping when they get older, like your daughter, they'll hopefully build up some immunity here.
Watch the new app. Oh yeah.
Oh, did they?
Well, I heard they had the voice problem they had.
Oh, was there a voice problem?
They had like some new guy and they weren't allowed to use him, so they had to go.
Oh, yep. Like a baseball player?
Yeah.
Hmm. The field's always ripe with those sort of problems, I feel like.
They seem to be made up problems.
Yeah, no, it's my job's an important problem, and I use air quotes for that. So she's gonna be pulling. Stick back, and we'll just do the smoke on that layer here. While her cape goes this way. Now let me clean that. Well, she was sick for a couple days earlier this year, but nothing. My youngest son has just been sick for the last couple weeks. They're drawing blood on him. He's just been to the doctors. 2 ear infections, strep throat. He's just had the worst luck with his ears. No fun. And when the kids don't sleep, then the parents don't sleep, and me and my wife are screaming at each other. It's always fun. Have kids, they'll be fun, they said. Yeah, that's what my youngest Cole's getting. They said he was going to get it, then they said he didn't need it. Now we're back to needing it again, so we're just going to pull the trigger on that one. The fun don't stop at the Burns household. So now that the app is launched, what do you, things calm down a little bit? Got her on, be right back. You're our one viewer! Come on! Who else am I going to talk to? Ay, ay, ay. Guess he's not. I guess he is busy. Hey guys. Oh, Joe Whimsy. We can always count on her to show up. She's a diehard. How you doing, Joe Whimsy? How was your week? I see you've been drawing a lot on Instagram, too. Really cool characters. Drawing in Starbucks. Oh, man. The amount of coffee I drink, if I went to Starbucks every time I drank, I'd have to do a few more, I might as well just pick up a job there.
Alright, so we got her kind of moving like that. What are you drawing on? Do you have like one of those Apple tablets or just straight up on paper? As our forefathers did it.
Starbucks coffee customer. Oh, that's a way. Are you? I hope you're charging. Or are you just doing it for fun? It's a small guy. Oh, that's cool. No, that's innovative. Do you have any pictures you could put on this chat so we can see it? I don't know how to. Can you do that on Twitch? So she kind of goes around here. So we're gonna, but we want the punch to be impactful. So we're definitely gonna favor this pose right here, the one where she's in the background. It's on my Instagram, but I'll try to leave the link here. Yeah, do it. Yeah, those of you who are listening, you should follow her. She does a lot of cool drawings, and not just her own works, but like she does her own style of different brands and all that stuff. I don't know if you can click on that, but you try, Bob. It's working. Okay, cool. So you're sort of drawing live too, but like with a lot more pressure because the people are right there. I could just pretend the power went out and just shut off my computer if things go bad. See, so she's launching here, so she's going to push off her back leg. She's punching, let's see, that's with her right arm. Kind of. Then we'll add a camera shake in post, but I'll show you how we do that, just kind of mimic it in Flash. I think I did a little bit of that last week. Joe Whimsy, do they ask you, like, do you have a template of what you're gonna draw on the cups, or do they ask you to do it sort of like, is it anything the customer wants? Or do you take like the Starbucks logo and draw on top of it? Basically a cartoon of myself initially. Oh, that's cool. So it's like caricature work too. That's tough. I've never been very good at caricature stuff. Keep those that way. And we're off to the races here. There we go. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do just to get a little bit of impact for the boards. I won't do this in animation, but just for the feel of this. So what I'll do is just do kind of a staggered kind of shake. So since she's punching this way, like camera right, I'm gonna extend it a little bit. I'll just use shift and count. I'll do like 1, 2. Then when it comes back, I'll do 1, and I'll just kind of like right, left, right, left, right, left, and then I'll do up, down, up, down, up, down. So be like, and then you get a little more crazy if you go like down, then up, and down, and up, and kind of taper into it. And then we can have the spit fly in here. Blood, we can actually have blood in it, I guess, too. Alright, then she kind of punches the other direction. So you can kind of give them a little bit of a 1-2 combo, which is indicative of the game, too. So we have that face here, so maybe we could have him twist a little bit here. Like she punches through, all the way through here, so this will be her fist. But his face, since he got hit from here to there, from here to there, we'll have him twist a lot, so it'll just be kind of a profile here. And you can play with the angles a lot too here, so it's like his neck can be really extended. Should be twisting this way. Like that, so it's kind of a downward shot, so our heel will go up a little more. I'm going to draw through because her hand should be up here, even though that's not going to be on the screen, but just for animation purposes when I'm in betweening it. Her feet will go that way. Cape kind of following the trajectory. I like the cape because it covers up a lot of her body when we need to be efficient, but it's also acts as a secondary kind of thing to really give the impact. And with game animation, now this is different than game animation, obviously, since it's the intro, but, you know, when you press the button, you want the, you want the action to deliver right the second you kind of hit it, or even the frame you hit it. We've all played games, probably, especially the older games, where the response rate was never that good, and it was always a little off-putting. So the challenge and in pixel art, you know, you get away with that when it just kind of pops to the animation. So the challenge with this one, making it feel like we want to animate, like you're playing an animated cartoon, we want to give away, you want it to feel like you're playing an actually, hopefully well animated cartoon. So to do that and get the button, you know, the controls right, we have to kind of always jump to it and then have a settle. So it looks right, because if we did it the opposite way, where we just sort of beautifully in between everything, I feel like the controls would be lacking a lot. And then, you know, and I feel like that's such a big part of the game that if we were to mess with that. So it's been a challenge trying to think of how we get from sort of movement to movement, like from a walk to a run, or we don't have a jump, but we do have a dodge. So we always kind of end, whenever you let go of the button, we'll always try to get that animation that you do back into what we call the idle pose. And so there's just a ton of sprite sheets of like it all going back to the same pose. And the other challenge of that is, since this is top-down adventure is we have, for every move, there's 8 different directions we push it in. Up, down, left, right, and then the diagonals. So we made every character symmetrical. So we only have to do kind of the, 4 or 5 of them. So we don't have to do left and right. Say someone had an eye patch, that would be problematic all of a sudden. And then go back to idols and all that stuff. So it's been, her sprite sheet's been massive. Let's see, what did I clean it up here? Brush 4. Not that it matters. So that's been the challenge. Just animation wise. It's a lot of labor. For sure. But there's workarounds of everything. Especially when you start building up a library of animation, then you can start reusing it again. Also, what's nice about games is you get a lot of mileage out of just a little bit of animation. If we were telling the story as an animation and had to do the whole thing just purely animated, we'd be here forever. Though, with this game, we have so much going on that it's going to be a long journey.
We're going to be here forever.
We're going to be here forever anyway. But it's okay. It's our little passion project, and passion projects should take time. So you can see how big I made her hand again. And I always taper her hand to really feel the force. Just gonna clean up this part too. So what I'm going to do actually, I'll show you a trick to really feel this one. So I'm going to separate her from the vampire here so we can actually get some follow through on the vampire while keeping this drawing. So I'm still going to clean up the vampire just on a different layer here. Make a funny poses. Again, his sort of cheek was hit on, I figure.
I got more tired from drinking coffee, but I think
I've been so tired all week. And when you get 3.5 hours of sleep by 2 nights in a row. Spring is almost here, though. Is it? I don't know. It's 46 degrees here today, so
I never thought.
it's still. It's what is it? It's almost April.
Warm,
April Fools.
So cold this morning.
April Fools. It's still winter.
So what I'll do here is
Connect the face to the punch so we see sort of the line of action here, and it's sort of a kind of a biggish arc for this vampire because he starts here and he ends up here. Now if we were to in between it traditionally, his head would be right in the middle there, but since she's kind of swinging around and punching this way, we want to keep the line of action that way too. So we'll bend his head Yes, more. Oh, thanks. I'm gonna butcher this name. Do you want to Linzer Denzer? Is that it? Glad you enjoy them. That's awesome. So he gets pushed that way. We're gonna use the fist as that. You are correct. All right.
Is it the same person we were talking to on Twitter before?
Is that were we talking to you on Twitter earlier, Linzer Denzer?
Sounds like a familiar name for something.
Not recently, but at some point probably. Okay. No, we get some. Our Twitter seems to. It's mostly just for blood now. I feel like it seems to be the most popular thing we ever post on there, which I'm fine with since it's our work. So his arm's gonna go that way. His other shoulder that way, and then we should get a little bit of, so you can kind of see. Kind of getting twisted up and moving that way. And what I'll do there is, this is just a group right now. So we'll move that and stagger that again. So I just hyperextended them. And then I'm going to stagger the frame, so again it feels like this kind of wicked punch. And we could do the same thing with Becky here too, if we... And this is very puppetry right now, which I've never been a giant fan of, but just for the animatic purposes. I was about to hit something.
Too much animate.
Too much animate. Makes Chris a dull boy. I don't have to stagger her. I mean, again, I'm not. I can always tell when I sort of cheat, and it always sort of bothers me. But for animatics, this is the only way to get it done. When I first started Flash, I remember I loved. I come from a time when it was just working on paper, and then Flash came around. And I was just like, oh, this is perfect. You can do everything with one person. So I loved everything about motion tweens and all that kind of stuff. But now when I see it, especially for some reason when I see it on line art, and I see something kind of puppeting, and again, it's all contingent on the style, to be honest. But when I see it, there's always something like bothersome to me. And it's probably because I've just been using it to do traditional stuff now for a long time. And not to say we don't do projects like that either, but something's bothersome about it to me. Let me color this guy in. So yeah, we kind of went more, I mean, the original pilot idea, we were going a little more gruesome. But since we kind of took on this Cartoon Network-ish vibe, we wanted to keep it cartoonish. So there we go then. Now what I will do for that is, and the second and third I mean, secondary motion now, so his spit's gonna be like kind of coming over here, and that can whip up in the air. Now, like that. So just a whole bunch of follow through. And that would just dissipate anyway. Kind of like a punch out. So what did I have here? I can't even tell what the heck my red line is doing here. So sorry, Lindsay, you were talking to us for. Let me just go scroll up. You are correct. Oh, okay. I've been following this project for a while. Big fan. Tweeting is cringy. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Now it depends. Like I said, like if you're doing something with no holding lines, I find it a little more tolerable. I'm probably just being an animation style at that point too. Close-minded when it could work. No, I agree. Doing it traditionally just feels like I don't feel like I'm cheating myself or something. And we all sort of, everyone cheats themselves once in a while, whether it be like on a diet or just something I do it every night with sleep. It's like I should go to sleep at 10:30 every night, but I'm on Facebook reading dumb stuff till 2 in the morning, and then I cheated myself, and that's sort of the way I feel. But it's like, but I do it too, so then I will tween something, or when I find with tweening though, if you shoot it on 2s, it kind of gives it a more traditional thing. But when I see stuff tweened on 1s and it's clearly a symbol that's moving or rotating, it's always something that just doesn't look natural to me. But like when I first started Flash, man, did I love it. So I think what I have him. Oh, she's grabbing. So she's kind of shoulder rolling him here. So I'm gonna start with this pose. So shoulder roll. I'm gonna turn that off. So she kind of throws him like that. No, it's weird. I get all my news from social media now, and I would probably, I don't know, if I didn't have this business of Exit 73 Studios, I don't know where I would stand with Facebook, but we find, I don't never voice my opinion on anything. I just, I know exactly what my friends think about certain things, and I don't need, to get in an internet argument. But for work and stuff, posting work is sort of necessary for us too. And I like seeing how people react to our work, at least. But no, I feel like sometimes I'd be better off unplugging it, like just mentally. I always feel exhausted reading everyone's problems or whatever you call it. Yeah, we're not, we only post stuff, Lindsay Binzer again, about needing to promote. I'm bad with posting stuff every day. I only want to show new stuff we did. So, like, I don't like reposting stuff we already have worked on. I just like kind of one and done. So, which we probably would, I don't know what the science behind it is, but I don't know if we drum up more business if we posted more, or if we're not prevalent, or we're not getting. Plus, Facebook has changed so much since we started and that happens to have most of our fans are on Facebook, or our biggest audience, which is not even that impressive, to be honest, the numbers there, but I don't know. Everyone does it, so I had to believe it works on some level. Did you release the new trailer yet? Oh, GB Crew. No, we're still working on it. We got a few versions of it actually, but we want to add some. We got a lot of gameplay. So now we're gonna add some of the newer animations, like the cutaway scenes. We have a few that we can add in there and stuff, and we will release it for sure. And we're gonna show a certain version of it, probably way before Midsummer Night's Tunes, but we'll have some new versions for sure. Actually, Cody could probably show UGB Crew what where we are with it now. There's two versions. We're pretty happy with it though. I know it looked pretty cool. But Bob had a really cool idea to do with one of them that we had to sort of figure out how we're going to do it now with just the existing stuff we have. Yeah, I really like the idea, and it's sort of low maintenance on our end to get it done, so. No, we have plenty of backgrounds if we're just going to do it like that. And like what you can do with the effects and stuff is always. So he shoulder tosses this dude. Again, I'm going to separate him and her so I could do that kind of puppeting thing that I just railed against.
I'm more interested in how Cody gets to watch baseball with 3 kids.
I keep those watching this. Oh, so he did show you. Cody, leaking our secrets. How does he have a social life? I was supposed to be going on a bachelor party after this, but my son kind of is not feeling well, so don't want to leave my wife with 2 sick kids in the house. Yeah, you see, did I color the... Oh, yeah, I'm coloring the vampires wrong. Well, whatever. I could change that guy at least. Only in the close-up, he'll be a shade darker gray. Yeah, how does Cody...
I think it's Dan, right? CGV Crew. What song, which trailer do you like better? Like the fast-paced one?
Did you, GB Crew, do you like the fast-paced trailer more, or the slower one? Just gonna shrink him so he's gonna be falling. So you can see I'm getting away with a little more pumping. The slower one. My instincts always go faster with this, but you know, Bloods is a different kind of beast than what we're kind of doing.
Like
you know,
that song I made for the slower one was kind of like almost what I was thinking of like an opening sequence song.
Oh yeah. No, it's interesting. I don't. Yeah, it is sort of like a more somber-ish game, like than what we sort of always made trailers for. Game trailers are interesting. I always find them interesting. Like if you break them down, they're all like sort of. It's just really changing the background a lot. I find is what.
Yeah, because usually there's not much to it.
So let's see. She grabs him and. So she's right here. She's got her arms here. So she's behind him. His arm's going to be like that, getting a shoulder roll. So she's grabbing him there. Oh boy. Hold on, my wife's reaching out. My son's getting stuff done to him. I got the rain, but it bent some rain to go tomorrow and have it suck it up. Oh, God. My poor youngest son has just had ear infections for so long. He's going to be traumatized. So let's see, the shoulder roll, so the shoulder's going to actually go like that. We're going to continue that line of action. Let's see, so she's going to grab him there. Oh, okay, so that's the last frame. I'm going to hold on that frame because it's closer to the camera. It should take a little longer. Sorry about this, guys. It's just dangers of doing it live. The slow. Okay, there goes the ball. Oh, that's just an old one. All right, so let's clean this one up. This will all be on one drawing, I think. $200. So I'm going to start with the body of the vampire, and that's her cape. She's pulling it back. Add a shadow there to give it some dimension. So his hands go in that direction. Gonna bend his mouth that way. And you can see how much I'm changing his face and all that stuff. And whatever serves the shot is my sort of motto. Like, it doesn't have to be that accurate. We all sort of know who this is or what's happening here. I always sort of like those cartoons that treated characters that way. SpongeBob does it a lot, where I guess it's, proportion heavy at times, but they do funny shots of his face expanding and all that stuff, and I always like that kind of humor as a somewhat of a dressed person. So she tosses him. Again, we could kind of do that thing again where we do that indication where she throws him, but like we'll play with his proportions on this one. Actually, this pose is wrong now that I see that, because that should be his. That shouldn't be his face. That's the back of his head. So we're gonna have to clean up that one. Because he flips over. The crispy. Oh, who? I always butcher this name.
Chihuahua.
Chihuahuas.
Always been a good contributor.
Oh yeah, he is it he or she? We're not sure.
Not gonna make any
There-
assumptions.
I'm not gonna. No, oh no. But thanks for joining. That's better. Let's see here. So, I'm sorry, guys. Again. All right. So this guy's gonna go flying into the air, but since we're playing with the camera angles here, we're gonna kind of extend so his feet will be here. He's really getting flipped here. Play with these extremes. Maybe that one will go here. The feet will even be bigger. Clean that one up. $200. All right, let's get this going here. So we're going to continue with this arm, sort of doing our best to in between that, even though it's boards. Just I find the cleaner the boards, the easier the animation for sure when you're working this way. And the way I approach animation is very similar. Like I'll just rough out something, clean it up, rough out something, clean it up. I don't rough out the whole thing the whole time. I feel like it gives me a false sense of security. Like when I just rough it up and then I was like, oh, I still have all this other work to do. So I kind of parcel it off that way. Plus it gets a little tiresome, and then this sort of spices it up a little bit. Like I like after doing the Corey scene last week, I really wanted to start animating that because he was so cartoony, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to do with. So you can see it's just a little secondary. It always kind of goes a long way with this kind of stuff, and we add the cape to that. It'll be a real fun scene to do. We don't need. Maybe we'll speed that one up. Actually grabs on. Yeah, that's a little better. We'll time it out a little bit different. So now we have another vampire kind of jumping into the frame here. She jumps, lands on him. We have another one. I forgot what I did. Let's see if I can figure out what I wanted to do. This is also the dangers of just doing this 2 hours a week. I have all these ideas in my head I want to get down, and then I don't take the time to do it legibly. It's like a dream journal that you just write in the middle of the night, and then you wake up and you're like, what the hell does any of this mean? So I think what I wanted to happen, she throws. She throws the guy that she just shoulder rolled onto it, and this next vampire comes in because right now we're kind of in the thick of it, where there's a bunch of these little minions sort of coming for her, or for the whole team. Jumps on him. Jumps off. Anything else dropped out? Oh, okay, I see what I'm doing. So, she jumps on that guy, jumps off, and then another guy comes and lands, and that's when she's sort of, oh, okay, and that's when Kristoff comes to the right. Gotcha. Alright. Oh, because the camera's going to be moving again. So that guy's that way. So we'll start panning the background again. Have this guy land here. Just see, we're going to use him as a reference because he's going to bounce. Bounce off screen. Super loose, but something quick like that. So if we start panning at that point, like when this guy gets thrown. We could probably speed that up again. Let me just get rid of those guys and use this one. Yeah, I think that'll work. I just want to line up the background correctly, so let me figure out where that point is. Yeah, so that, and what I might do is actually speed up the background even more, since we can go really fast now. So what I'll do there, since we already have the pan in center place, I'll duplicate the symbol, chasing big elements, and I'll just call this one version 2. And it should be as simple as just moving this keyframe to maybe, we'll do it at 25. So that's a little quicker. But what happened here? I'm going to move that one just to be right there. Okay, yeah, that'll be nice. So now we're kind of just moving stage left. So we're going to get like a little bit of a panning shot again, since we're always panning left the whole time on this. So let's clean up Becky, and I'm going to separate these two again for that kind of panning, puppeting storyboard cheat. to go to Marl Bob to get more blood taken because, well, I guess he bent the needle when they put it in him.
I remember acting like that as a kid
He's a tough kid. I have two sons, pretty close in age. One's about to turn 4 and one's about to turn 2. And they couldn't be more different in terms of like attitude and like I had this like really sweet, kind one, and I have this real bruiser of a kid. And the young one's the tough one. So it's been a real dynamic change in the house where when we found out we're having a second son, my wife and I are just like, oh, it'll just be like another little sweet boy. And that's wrong. And he's the one who's not feeling good. So we had to get him better. This is going to be a long weekend. Alright, so... Oops. So this guy will be on top here. I'll just group him again. So she's going to jump in a little. So what I'll do if I have someone like this, like arced in, or do an arc, I always just want to be very conscious of the arc. Now I'm animating a group, so it's going to be a little wonky. But you can tween groups in this old version of Flash without it turning into a tween. So I just want to kind of keep the arc the same. And you can also achieve this by doing an what's called a guide layer. So, but if you do, yeah, that looks alright. So that guy comes in. You might have to space that out. Yeah, that could work. Kind of a little different. I don't want it to be so fast I can't register it, but yeah, that'll work. You get the idea. So she kind of jumps on him. We're going to skid out a little bit, and we'll add some more debris there. Let's put that guy in the background too. So that guy bounces off. Land on him. Always tons of distractions. We go all day with no distractions, and then when we do something live, this always happens.
Eddie is better than what we were doing.
Oh yeah, gosh. Oh man, we've had some jobs this month. Very difficult jobs. It's also one of the first times I felt like in the studio's history that the weeks felt longer. Like it usually wouldn't. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but and at a studio, when we started running a studio, I remember working at a studio and never really feeling, I mean a little bit when there was time crunch and stuff, but where it's it's Friday like today, and we're like, oh man, we didn't, we didn't have enough time this week to do it. I wish it was Thursday. I wish it was Wednesday. Stuff like that. But like the last few jobs, I've been like, oh man, it feels good to be Friday. I'm gonna have her stop on that. Yeah, in the last couple jobs, just a lot of revisions. A lot of back and forth. You'd think you'd be done, and then nope, starting over. It was tough. Alright, so I'll add a dust debris path on this one too. Since we're kind of moving, you want it to feel like the impact of her smashing this guy into the ground. Maybe her hand will go like this. It's a better silhouette. Let's see. His arm flops down. We'll just add a shadow here so we know she's on top. Alright, that's working a little bit. Yeah, that's nice. So what we'll do here... Now, when I get to animation, I'll probably start making a lot of this stuff symbols, so like it'll just replace right away. I kind of do that last just because I like to have my library a little more organized than just symbol 1 through, 800 or whatever it ends up being. So I'll call it like Vampire 1, Vampire 2, blah, 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 blah. But like I would make that a symbol because I would want animation done internally on it because just the trajectory of him, I'll have the legs slam down. The arc of the back kind of go the opposite way to really feel the ground. But for something like this, I just want to get the movement down first. So we're going to add a smoke layer here. And he's being pushed that way, so the smoke's going to billow out kind of this way. And I do it in front of him too. And it would kind of, since we're going, wait, is that right? No, that's not right actually. It's going the opposite way. Because we're traveling the other way. It could start bigger here, but it all dissipates to the right actually. Jumps off it, then the smoke will dissipate and keep traveling that way. The artwork and the animation. Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy it. We're having a lot of fun with this. We notice a lot of our clients don't really go do the cartoony stuff anymore, so we have to get our kicks in somehow. And that's the point of the game, was to make it feel like you're playing kind of a 1990s Cartoon Network cartoon. Very much in the spirit of like Dexter or Samurai Jack or any of that kind of stuff. So we're definitely leaning into that style hard. Just we miss it in our professional work. But hopefully one day we'll get to sell blood when old and gray. Okay, I'm just gonna. It's hard to see the white, so I'm just gonna get rid of the smoke real quick. This is just a simple kind of trail off. Nothing does not have to be perfect for the boards. Change that to white. Works for me. Alright, let's kind of see what we're doing here. So she jumps off. I guess another guy comes in. Ah, I see what's happening here. So she kind of jumps off him. He's going to shoot off into the air and land. Over here, and then she's going to attack that guy. Gotcha. Actually, I might just... We're going to get rid of this vampire. She's going to just kind of ride him and shoot him off into the distance. So I'll just see his legs here. Another guy's going to come in from here. She's going to grab him midair, slam him on the ground, then attack him. That'll feel better. Plus, he'll get one more vampire attack in. Make it feel a little more vast. So let's see, these are really dirty. So I'm gonna. So this guy's gonna fly off. She jumps off this way, so she's gonna start facing that way again. That way. Her hair is going down this way. We can add some smoke going that way too. We'll push him not so high up actually. We can even go higher if we do it. But then his body would be a little more manic. Might look funnier. I think that'll be a little funnier. Kind of shooting off this way, not just so linear. Can do dirt on that. 200. Oh gosh, we're already at 1.5 hours. This is how we don't get stuff done. So nothing gets done.
Playing around with what kind of pattern I want to put on the carpet. Be here for the rest of the day.
Bob's building out the cathedral scene in one of the levels we're making is gonna. The whole thing takes place over the course of a year in one town. So we're playing with autumn and winter a little bit too. And those who saw our Facebook post today, you'll see some of the snow stuff we've added in. But right now we have a cathedral in it. We have what else is in the? Do we talk about the map at all, or is that under secrecy?
Oh, we haven't really.
Okay.
On the map.
Well, before I put my foot in my mouth, I'll let Andrew.
We started a world map.
We started a world map of what the whole town, or the town map, and the whole thing takes place. It's not just in the school. In other words, though, it focuses mostly on Becky and her kind of classmates a little bit, but it takes place within a town. Nothing is sacred. We like to share. Okay, so yeah, what we have.
Well, you said it already. I was really about it.
Well, no, but some of the stuff that's in the town, I didn't really get into.
I don't even know if that's final either.
Yeah, but it's a very kind of a nostalgic town. It's very almost like a 1950s-ish town. There's like a park, and it's very kind of cutesy in that way. But that's sort of how we're going to build out the story from here on out, like where we could travel from, the school on. I presume the school's going to be one of the first levels.
No, I think the neighborhood.
Oh, the neighborhood's going to be the first level. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, so it kind of bounces almost. Where's that smoke? Alright. So she'll jump off here, make him a brute. So he'll go flying off that way. We'll just do another drawing for that then. Make her a group. So she'll shoot off this way. Lower down a little bit. Shrink her a little bit so she goes in space, and then someone will try to tackle her midair. She'll grab him, slam him down. Yeah, that'll work. So this guy lands that way. He'll arc up here, presumably. So his feet will go like that. Rough that out real quick. Is there a method we can follow to get better at creating cartoon characters? We don't spend a lot of time on character design, to be honest. I mean, how do we usually approach? We sort of have an idea of what we almost want to mimic. Like, we'll get a reference, especially when it's a client stuff, we'll get a reference of some other cartoon they would like to see a little bit of. And then we'll kind of just see the methodology of what they might use and sort of apply that to, and put our, thumbprint on it too. So it's not we don't want to be tracing someone else's characters or anything. But I tend to like, if I had it my way, I like more cartoonish characters. I always like the sort of a big skull that I could always play with the size of the eyes and stuff. Like I always found that you could get a lot of expression out of that, and it's just as funny when you do small stuff too, like that. So I always try to use that as a sort of a template. Like, what would a big, what would the character look like with this kind of cartoonishly large skull? Because I find that the cartoonier it is with the size of the head, just easier to kind of use the skull as a canvas. But we've gotten jobs where they wanted it to look exactly like Dragon Ball Z, and then we would just do tons of reference of down to like their color palette and like how they would approach anatomy and all that kind of stuff. Well, we, depending on the client, you usually get something or something, another reference of a cartoon they would like. I think we're going to shoot him off a lot quicker. So I'm going to have a guy come in, just so it's not all so linear. I'm going to have a guy come in here, kind of jump in from that side. Oh, anytime. We love doing these streams. It's sort of like our dessert at the end of the week where we get to work on our own stuff, and as long as we're not too bogged down or we have obligations elsewhere, we're gonna do this as long as it takes.
It's 2 hours a week.
So it's two hours a week compounded. Right? We need to work around 700 hours a week to get it done. So you guys will be sick of blood by the time this airs.
No, the new Cuphead people's game will be out, and then it'll be.
I really hope the new Cuphead
Isn't doing it.
I just hope they don't pick a style similar to this, or like they're picking 1990s era cartoons. I really hope that would be a bummer. Can't compete with them. Though they took 7 years to build Cuphead. Hopefully we don't take that long.
Oh, the rate we're going.
Well, 2 hours a week.
The rate we're going, I can see why it took.
It's hard doing stuff for free. I mean, it's not hard, it's easy to do, it's just easy to get bored too. That's, one of the things, it's a good problem to have what we're in now, where we're so busy, it's hard to find the time to do our passion work. But, thankfully our studio has that opportunity to be this busy, because when Bob and I first opened, we had we're out not near any major city, really. I mean, we're near New York City, but there's tons of competition there. So we had no idea what we were doing. Some would argue we still don't. But, we're lucky enough to constantly sort of get work and new clients and all that kind of stuff, so it's just trying on day, because I always have in the back of my head what I want to work on next, or we're kind of tried to do another little web series that we started a while back. Hey, how's it going? Stale Cupcakes. I got that name right. How you doing? No, so I always have these grand aspirations of what we could be working on in our spare time and stuff, and I have all these ideas floating around in my head. And it's a little bit torturous when you can't get it done, or you wish you didn't have to sleep, or more time in the day, or days in the week and all that stuff. So that's the part that's a little frustrating, but again, it's a good problem. If you can make it work even in your little spare moments I find. Lost my timeline.
It's an anime.
That was an anime problem.
Thing.
So we'll make that guy a little quicker. Actually, I'll go like that. So this guy jumps towards her. Where is she? There she is. I'm gonna need that for him. She's gonna grab him. So this guy gets grabbed sort of like that. That's his arms. That's okay. We're gonna have to slow that down a lot. So she grabs him. Just gonna rough this out super quick. Sort of. She's gonna twist her body this way, so she goes all the way around and throws him, sort of. So this guy's gonna come up this way. The cape's gonna go that way still. Roll him down like that. Well, keep it go that way, and he goes this way. And he goes flying that way into the dirt. That'll be my red line base, and then we're going to have to clean those up a little bit. Okay. Bend up like that, like you really hit the dirt hard. As she continues that way, so. Then she sits that, then she lands. She'll land here, jump up, and attack while Kristoff comes in. And then we're going to kind of pan with him a little bit. Shot me out about 20 minutes left. I can clean up that part at least. And then Kristoff comes in, kind of choke holding a guy. So we'll clean up these red drawings, take a look at what we have complete, watch the whole thing in its entirety, and then we'll have to wait till next week, where I promise this week we'll finish and lie, and then we do it next week and lie again. Oh gosh. I'm gonna do so. What's that?
This church file wasn't open.
Yeah, so hasn't open. Oh, 2 months. You have the date. Yeah, we tend to date our files so you can see when the last time you worked on it. It's a double-edged sword. Let's see. So I don't know. But you know, when you open up a really old one and you're the years blend together is the problem I have. Like I think the 90s happened 10 years ago. Like 2008 doesn't sound like it's 11 years ago. You know, all that kind of stuff. So and it must just be an age thing, because my dad always complained about the swhen I was young. I felt like summers lasted forever.
No,
I felt like the
seen
school.
Sunshine.
No, now I. You could convince me it was any season now. Like, and I would be like, oh yeah, no, that sounds right. So she's grabbing up here. So this guy miscalculated big time when trying to tackle her. Her feet are gonna go this way. No, I always do that. It's like when you think of like 2008 was 11 years ago. That sounds crazy to me. Let's see
I don't
here.
even know what terrible studio I was probably working at.
I was working at. I think I just started Augenblick, or I started in 2007 maybe. So she rolls on him. Boy, this is pretty dirty. Oh, think I can just clean this up? Let's do it.
Wing it.
We're gonna wing it.
Just don't even redline.
What was the last job we did? I did something like that recently where I wasn't in between it.
Oh.
What was that?
Was it the next one? Or no?
No, I had to rough that. Let's see, so her arm should be up here. This guy's twisted up. Yeah, that's good enough for her in between. Alright, so that one I'm gonna have to rough out because that's sort of her hero pose. Let's do a different color for that. So I want to change the angle of that thing a little bit. There's one job, I forget what it was, where I was so used to the characters I wasn't even roughing anything out.
That's everyone.
I feel like that was not that long ago though. Alright, so we can clean that one up. And I can clean the vampire up because it's just sort of a ambiguous body right now. Ooh, that's not our nose. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to separate her again. Yeah, this is pretty fun, I think. Gosh, what was that job? Was it something we were doing on here, maybe? On Twitch? Just, that would have just been blood, but was it something? Could have been just that, I guess. A lot of times settles and stuff I don't even rough out because I do the settle so close to it and you just get natural at in betweening after you do it as long as we have. Let's see here. So his arm's gonna go up.
We usually listen to gangster rap or something. What do we do?
Do you ever listen to anything similar? No, we have a gangster rap. We do like old school gangster rap. We have then we have like Irish drinking songs. We have. It's more of a like how we're feeling that day, but we have like when we're both very worked up and upset about something, we have this kind of soothing soundtrack. When we're really into something or something needs to get done, we'll do like high octane stuff. When we were doing Flex Caliber, we were listening to a lot of Man of War and metal kind of stuff.
This is our own music we made for.
Yeah, but since we don't want so much radio silence on Twitch, this what you hear now is stuff Bob's made for the game, actually, or other games.
That we never finished or never really started, I guess.
Though it has similar looking kind of things. Mage. Or what we were gonna call it Red, I guess.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought Mage.
No, it is called. That's what we called it. But I remember when we were trying to get Greg into it too. He started writing it, and he was just calling the character Red because she had a red cape. It was
Very similar.
It was very similar. I'm gonna shrink her a little bit. She's a little bit here. Alright, so let me add some dust to this one. And then we're gonna. Oh no, we still got it sometime. We can look at some other. I could show you guys some other stuff, or if you have any other questions, or if you guys want me to show you how we do other, like any techniques or anything with animating. We could do stuff on the fly if you guys ever have any questions, like how we'd approach a walk cycle, or how we do lip sync or any of that kind of stuff. We'd be happy to show anyone our secrets. And I don't even know if they're secrets. They're just sort of we use Flash in a very kind of as just this giant camera and tool that we apply traditional animation to that. But we'd be happy to do some improv with that kind of stuff. So this one's going to billow out. So now again the thing's going to stop here because we're going to kind of so I think I showed it last week, but I'm gonna do it again. Where we're just gonna pan the background and slow it down, since we need to stop it. So what I do, this is all embedded animation. So what I'm gonna just break it here. So now it's not panning anymore. You can see, but it's still a symbol because I kept the symbol inside the pan. Like this is a symbol. So when we go and clean it up, it'll all just be replaced real quick. So now that symbol comes to a stop. But since we don't want it too abrupt, I'm a student in the UK and getting into storyboarding. What would you recommend I study towards? Loving the streams, by the way. Oh, thank you. If you're doing storyboards now, are you doing storyboards on paper, like 3 panels, or are you kind of doing it like how we're treating this as storyboards? Because those are two different approaches I would use, but there's definitely a lot of reference for more of the traditional storyboards in that regard. Digital. Oh, okay. So depending, and you're studying to do it for clients, I assume too, right? Or do you have your own kind of aspirations to do your own film? So I'm just gonna slow down the camera there. We'll work on that one. Because what I usually do stuff like if I'm doing animatics like this, I'll thumbnail it out first with just uh, blank keyframes. Like I'll show you like animation more for in-house studio work. I'm thinking we have our own films in final year. Okay. So for your own stuff, you can kind of go about it whichever way you find the most organic kind of function. But if something, let me just grabs my guide. So I'll start with a guide like this, just a regular guide. This is the inner square is action safe. The second square would be title safe, and then the rectangle is sort of HD. So I'll keep that in mind since staging is so important in animatics. Kind of guide that. So I'll get the script and say the script is a sunrise on a farm, and then you go inside the farmhouse and there's a talking cow, just something like that. So I'll thumbnail out stuff real quick, not worrying about timing at all. So usually, you know, when you have a script, there's sort of a style in mind, but if you're just sort of doing it as how we do it sometimes, it's just sort of coming up with the idea, kind of sketching it out a little bit, and then sort of coming up with the style as you go along. So we'll do, you know, some sort of farmhouse here. You know, this sunrises. So I'll use this as almost like the staging, like what's the important part of it. We mentioned it had to be a sunrise. We had to kind of show a farmscape like that, and then frame everything out sort of like that. We eventually go inside the barn, say, so maybe I'll show like a close-up of the barn doors opening. Like that. We'll just do something simple. I'll use shift and stuff just to get the straight lines real quick. The barn door, you know, opens. We pan inside. So we'll pan inside that way. I'll keep that direction in mind. And then, you know, we'll show a cow or a bull. You know, and have all hay over here. Just sort of frame out the stuff. We can have another cow over here. Frame it out, and then we start with the cow talking, and then depending on what it's talking to. So say that was scene 1, or you know, whatever the opening to your film is. So now we got the thumbnails. Now what I do is just sort of time it out by just spacing out the keyframes if you're using Flash. So I usually do opening shots between 1 and 2 seconds. something like that. Gonna do a slow zoom in. You know, then I always kind of go far to close, especially for establishing stuff. You kind of want to show, like, if you want to show a cityscape, you want to indicate that someone's living in the city. So you open up on, say, a city skyline, then you zoom into like an apartment building, then you can zoom into an apartment door, then their room eventually. It sort of works, and like just rules of three in that way. So we crossfade, open up, kind of time it out like that. Crossfade again, we'll zoom in here. We'll crossfade and kind of establish that. Now, sometimes we'll have scratch audio and stuff too, so. You know, and that, you know, I did that fairly quick. That's 7 seconds sort of mapped out for you. You kind of can see where it's going, at least for thumbnail purposes like that. And then I would just go about once all the timing's established, the audio's finished, or in a good place, then just slowly start timing it out. Now you can call this one, like, if you're going to build it in within the same program like Flash, you just make this scene 1. So you know, F8, make it a symbol, scene 01 barn. Now what's nice about that is you can go in here now and just clean up this, and then it's a cleaned up board, and you have the timing already established and all that stuff. And it would be great for animators too, just to have all this to kind of build within. So you're.
Well, that's why I don't understand. Everybody uses
You know,
Storyboard Pro. But
yeah, I know Storyboard Pro. I never got it unless you're sending it somewhere that they use it. But, you know, I never seen any difference in draftsmanship for it, so I don't know why you don't just use something like a Flash or a Toon Boom Harmony or something that can at least edit audio correctly. So that's sort of how I would approach it in a digital world. If you're doing the 3-panel paper thing, then it's sort of more like you're working on a comic book, which then is a whole different beast. So let's see, we're about to close up. I'm going to just time this out, and let's see if we should watch the whole thing down. Yeah, and if any of you guys have any questions about how we approach stuff, you know, it doesn't always have to be, you know, you guys watching us clean up stuff like this, because honestly, we should have had this finished a while ago. Alright. So what I'm checking out here is if anything's too redundant, if any fat can be cut too. I mean, it's action, so everything's pretty fast-paced. But, like, for example, if we're having too much Becky throw vampires, we're going to have to come up with a different kind of thing. You see, she's kind of throwing them a bunch. But then we got this scene, the coup de grace. So we're coming in probably around 45 seconds, which is where a pretty sweet spot for an intro. I find action always plays a little faster too. You don't think it's going as fast, where dialogue feels a little slower. But one more time, I'm liking everything so far. When we get to clean up, you know, that could be a whole nother can of worms we open up. And then there's the question of how we're going to time this to music and background and all that stuff. But that's all sort of stuff we figure out when we're going along. Just a little bit of red line, though. We have to get rid of these red lines. Yeah, I'm going to turn off this little thing. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good place to end it. We didn't even get to Chris off when we were supposed to. But, yeah, so I think we're going to be signing off now. Thanks all of you again for joining us. We, you know, it's always flattering to see people tuning in and not getting too bored of the stuff. I know animation can be arduous, especially watching it. So we really appreciate all of you guys tuning in and enjoying all this stuff, asking questions, and keeping us on our toes. But so next week, hopefully, we'll finish this. Bob, what are your thoughts? What's the over-under? No? We're not even going to take it.
I'm taking that.
All right, guys. But it was good seeing all you and talking to all you again. And we hope to keep you in the loop. Signed into Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. All Exit 73, bloodgame.com, all that stuff. You can check us out. And Andrew can send you over the mailing list too if you're ever interested in getting that.
You can sign up at Blood Game.
Oh, Blood Game has the mailing list. Yeah, bloodgame.com. Maybe Andrew will type that in for you guys. All right, until next week. Oh, new subscriber. Well, we hope we see you next week. New subscriber. And sorry, we're closing off now. Oh, okay, he's got in there. It's right at the bottom there. Would love the mailing list. All right, yeah, sign up. Well, I don't think we've sent out anything yet, but we won't bombard you with annoying stuff, we promise.
I think once we get the new trailer out.
The new trailer will be there. You guys will be the first to see that. All right, so until next week, enjoy the weekend, and yeah, keep talking about this for us. We appreciate it. Bye, guys.